We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. No? You don't like that one?
Great.
You want me to do it
great.
again?
It's good.
All right.
You want you to say snorting coffee beans?
Yeah, I did actually.
Oh, we got Brandon on the show. Okay, our follow-up. Today we're snorting, what are we snorting? Caffeine? Or
maybe coffee
bean?
grinds.
Coffee grinds.
Yeah.
We're snorting coffee grinds. Bentley's coffee. Okay. All right. I'm Gabe. I'm here with Trevor, Dane, and we've got Brandon Eastman in the house. We had a great episode. I'm still high off of that. It was fun listening to your story. Actually, I kind of almost wanted to kill myself after the first half.
Yeah, I didn't know how bad it sucks.
You can't just be high all the time. You've got to have some lows in there to really make
You feel
it
the high.
good.
You can only feel as high as your lowest low.
You should write a song about that.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, there's like a little meter. So if you haven't really been very low, you can't go very high. But if you've been really low, like we have, see, we can feel much higher.
I like that.
So your advice is go lower so you can
hit the
feel
bottom.
higher.
Yeah,
Hit the bottom.
I think Brandon talked about hitting a bottom, and hopefully that's as low as you go. But we all, in our life, will hit dark times where, it gets rough.
Dane is yet to come. You have dark future ahead.
Dane.
We're just waiting for the day that Dane is broke and asking to move in.
Dane may just never feel as high as us. He may never.
I don't think I'll be able to.
He may never just.
I think I'm going to have to ride baseline for my whole life. I'm so serious. I'm fine with that.
I don't know.
Acceptable.
Be careful what you ask for.
I don't know, dude. I'm just going to keep partnering with you. So you're the one PG in it. If I'm low, you're low. But
I don't know. Your name's going to be on there one day. You're going to have to sign.
Gabe's like, hey, you're going to sign on this deal.
And I'm not.
And I'm not. And this is a bad deal.
I'm going to teach you a lesson, boy.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how good you have it. You're about to learn.
I'm going to give you some highs.
Let's do a bad deal in Dane's name just to show him what pain feels like.
I'm excited for Trevor. Could probably figure out a way to get me to do that unknowingly.
Yeah, you guys both put me in a bad deal when I bought that stupid fourplex in Albany with that. I've got a cool partner. He drives a Lamborghini, but we lose so much money on that freaking fourplex. I could have bought 2 Lamborghinis and made the payments on 2 Lamborghinis for how much I lose on that fourplex.
Shot.
And you guys are like, guys, you're like, Gabe,
That's impossible.
Dude, I lose more money on that thing than I do on when I'm
The rest of your
when I'm
portfolio.
stabilizing a 50-unit project. I don't know.
Yeah, right. You bought.
I'll send you the operating statements.
I actually looked at it. I texted your PM.
Worst deal I ever bought. I bought from Trevor Howard and Dane McKinney at Vesta Solutions.
We'll buy the deal from you.
I said it was going to bleed.
All
We'll
right.
buy it.
All right,
We'll buy it from
sold.
Did he get you
done.
to come to the real estate meetup and get you all hyped? And
Yeah,
stuff?
we got him fired up.
They had a
on
client-
financial
they-
freedom.
they had
We
a-
fired Gabe up on financial freedom.
Gabe, come to our event. We're gonna get you a deal.
Actually, that's where it happened at.
Yeah,
You're
it is
like,
where it
we're selling this fourplex, and the financing isn't going through. Do you want to sign on it for half? And I'm like, sure, I'll take a fourplex. I'm in a good mood. We're at the meetup. It's cool.
You had a good
Now every
deal.
month, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. I do love the guy you hooked me up with, though. It's been fun getting to know him. And he drives a Lamborghini. I'm not lying about that.
No, that's true. He owns a car lot. That was why you did that deal. You got fired up talking to him about cars, and then you're like, oh, let's put something together.
So before we talk about Brandon's real estate, you said that you hustled cars in high school. I want to know. I want to know a little bit more about this.
It wasn't quite Johansson's, Salem Nissan.
But it was Brandon's used cars.
Pretty much. I would just pretty much do one at a time. But
who got you into that?
Well, I mentioned in the last episode that my dad was buying and selling heavy equipment and things like that. So I just took to that, and I thought that was a really cool way to make money, and it was an opportunity to make really high margins, right? I mean, I could spend $5,000 and make $2,000.
Yeah.
So I did it throughout high school. I don't know how many cars I had in high school, but I had quite a few.
Would you sort of like trick them out or drive them for a while, or were these just like buy them, run them through the car wash, and sell them for more type of cars?
Yeah, it was mostly just clean them up, do whatever I needed to do to make them a little bit better than how I bought them, and and sell.
How'd you know the margin was there when you were in high school? Like, who taught you about margin and how to value cars?
I think that it really just came from studying. So, back then we had like Auto Trader and different. There wasn't even really like the internet, right? So I'd get the Auto Trader, man. Every Thursday morning, it would come out at the local 7-Eleven or whatever. I'd be down there at 7 a.m. Get the Auto Trader. You open it up. You look at every vehicle in there. You're just trying to learn values on your own.
That's so sick.
And my dad definitely helped, and there was some input of I don't think that's a good deal, or that's a great deal, or whatever it might be. But really, just studying the car market.
So you were making good money in cars. You decided to go lose a bunch of money in coffee and real estate. That's a good move.
It
More
is.
scalable.
Yeah, level up to go backwards. Yeah.
Dang. It all worked out.
How many cars do you think you've sold?
I don't know.
Hundreds?
At least 100. Yeah, probably more, but I don't know.
When did you get your dealer's license?
Can you edit that out?
Well, back then you could sell like 6 cars a year without a license.
Yeah.
I think you still
might have
have
sold
like
more.
a limit on that, so you're probably still in compliance.
Yeah.
As long as you're just doing
When you're in high school, what are you doing with all that money?
Just saving it. Yeah, trying to save it up.
Is that
For
how
what?
you bought your first hot tub?
Yes.
At your first house?
Yeah, that was a good investment. Yeah.
This sounds like a story I haven't heard yet.
There's good ROI on hot tubs.
There is.
People love hot tubs.
Yeah,
So-
you buy it for $2,000, you sell it for $300.
Yeah. I can't even give mine away for free. I'm like, please, somebody come take it. They're like, we can't get that off the deck.
Yeah.
I've had like 5 people try to take it, and they're like, nope, I can't even find anyone that'll get it off that deck.
It needs a crane to come in and
Something like
take
that.
it out. It's going to
Yeah.
cost you $5,000.
I was like,
to
if
get
I
rid
would
of
have
the
known that, I would have got a better hot tub that doesn't fall apart all the time.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're saving the money. What would make a high school kid go hustle to sell cars to save money? I don't understand what was going on in your head.
I don't know either. I think ultimately the game was how much money can I save?
For
right?
what?
It was kind of, huh?
Just to say you have it?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
That's never been Gabe's motivation.
No, why wouldn't you?
He can't even like process that.
I want to have like a number, like I want to see the number grow. That was there's a high in that, right? Like there's a high in seeing an extra zero on the bank account.
But the only thing you can do with money is spend it. It has no other use.
Or just have it.
You just
I
like,
don't know.
I mean,
It's
you
like
could have gone down to the arcade and played Pac-Man and watched the number get higher and higher and higher. You didn't have to go sit and watch your bank account every day.
He was
That's
better
true.
at flipping cars than
That's
Pac-Man.
Well, I like the challenge of it. And I like rolling up to high school in a different car every month.
That's a sick
there we go.
There we go.
That's a sick move.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a straight male, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I like cars. Yeah.
Wait.
I like cars too.
Yeah.
Hey, me too,
Wait.
guys.
No,
Trevor drives a Prius.
Trevor does not like cars.
We're gonna get you into something cool this
I'm
year.
gonna get a Lamborghini.
Brandon, what should we upgrade to, or side grade? I would side grade.
Side grade.
Yeah.
From a Corolla?
Okay, I should probably.
You and Trevor should just swap cars.
I should upgrade.
You drive the Prius,
I
he
can't
drives the
drive
Corolla.
Prius.
Why don't you
The
drive my
Corolla
truck?
is marginally more acceptable. than
I've
the
been meaning to
Prius.
have this conversation with you boys for
You
a while.
did.
I didn't mean to do it on air, but we need to have a conversation about what kind of cars you drive, because everybody like sees you on the internet going like, we just built 66 units, and then Trevor drives up in a 300,000 mile Prius, and they're like, no, he didn't.
literally falling apart.
You told me.
That's not true.
You told me Paul drove his same Tacoma and lived in a fourplex for the first.
Yeah, but
15
Paul wasn't on
years.
Facebook telling everybody how awesome he was either.
I'm just saying, I bought this thing that I bought, and then I bought that thing. I also say I bought this Prius. I got this.
Did you
Prius
get into
and
the
this
Prius for
apartment
no
complex.
money?
No, dude, I paid cash.
So what would be an appropriate car for these guys to drive? They're in
Prius.
their
What's next?
middle to late 20s.
Not like.
You gotta
They're
get
successful
a truck, man. We live in
guys.
Oregon. Yeah, you gotta.
a truck.
Yeah, you can't drive.
Why are you saying truck like that? You have a sort of a truck.
It's a EV Hummer. That's Chad says that
It's got a bed.
it's only for
It's sort of a
special
truck.
people like me.
Like cool guys. This is what Chad would say.
Really happy guys.
Really happy guys.
I'm gonna drive
Bra-
the Prius until it no longer goes.
Brandon,
Oh,
what
don't
truck?
say that. It'll go forever.
Is it Tacoma acceptable?
No.
Okay. I figured that was the answer.
You gotta get a F-350. Just go look
a
outside.
350?
Look outside.
go look outside.
Are you
I'll
flipping that one?
I'll give you the key. No, I'm actually tired of flipping them. Like I'm at a point where like this one I think I'm gonna keep for like a year or two because I've had 4 trucks in the last like year and a half, and finding them is really, really difficult.
Like finding them at a price that makes sense for you, or just
yeah.
All right. Should we talk about real estate?
I thought we were going to talk about deals.
All right, I'll do an F-150.
You know, buying and selling cars is deals.
Yeah,
that's true.
Those are deals.
He's doing more deals.
Buying and selling locations for Bentleys. Those are deals.
That's more interesting. I don't care about your cars.
Oh yeah, let's get into. Well, I don't know where we should start. Where do you think we should start on the portfolio? So you own.
Aren't you the host?
Houses. You own houses.
I'm confused right now. I was coming in.
I want to know what you want to talk about.
Dane is the tech guy.
I know where I want to start.
Okay, you start. Dane's
I want to start on the. I want to start on the Redmond deal, but let's do houses first because you got into after quite the hiatus of not buying houses and just starting lots of coffee shops. Some of them very successfully, some of them very successfully in a different way. It worked out. Unsuccessfully, but it worked out. It helped to make these successful. And then you got back into buying houses, and you were just buying houses close to the Mission Street Bentleys, right?
Yes.
Anytime one popped up, you were like, I could buy that.
Yep.
It's close to where I'm already at. I know this area. So you bought 4 houses cash, right?
No, the first 2 I bought in 2014, which, I opened 2 Bentleys in 2012 and 13, and I still wasn't making any great money, so I didn't have a big pile of cash. But the 2 houses that were right next to Bentleys on Mission, they were, our cars were kind of causing some traffic issues. I just felt like it would be important for us to own those to kind of control the area. So the guys that owned those 2 houses, they actually used one of them for an office, and they're actually real estate guys, and they've got, I don't know what they have. They've got quite a few houses locally here. But they used the one for an office, and I said, hey, I want to buy these houses from you. And they said, okay, make us an offer. And that means I'm going to give them a really low offer, right? So I wish they would have just told me a price, honestly. Then I could have gone from there. But the 2 houses, this is 2014, and I'm like, well, I could probably do like $100,000
for both, or
for
each?
both, yeah, for both. Because there was kind of like one tax lot, right? 2 houses, yeah. So it was a package deal, and they laughed and threw me out. And then I had to go back to them and say, okay, like I actually want to buy these houses. Like, what do you want for them? And they said, well, we're not really in the business of selling, but we don't mind peeling one off here or there for you. So they said, we'll do $175. I'm like, okay, let's get it done. And I got private money at 12%, 100% finance. And I bought the 2 houses.
Hey, that's cash.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was easy.
It's got a payment that comes with it.
Easy close, no inspections, no nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Close in a couple weeks, you're done.
Yeah.
Those houses, so what were rates at that time?
12%.
I don't know. I was not bankable at that time. I didn't know what were rates. Like I had no idea what the rates were.
Well, hard money usually comes with a pretty short runway. So what was your exit plan? You're going to get into perm debt somehow?
Yeah, no, there was, I don't even know. I don't remember. I want to say that I had plenty of time. I had at least a few years, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who gave you the money? Your brothers on the front end, or?
No, so if we go back to the house that I lost a bunch of money on, that I remodeled and sold in late 2009, the second mortgage that I had got on that house at 12% was a private money deal. And when I sold the house, I had about $40,000 that I had to pay off. And I didn't have the money to pay it off in that moment. And so I paid it off later. So I sold the house, transferred the debt to me, and paid that off. And through paying that off, I maintained my relationships with private money people and people in the business. I have a really, really close friend that handles a lot of private money deals, Patrick Carney. So he's a great guy. He's one of my best friends. And, he actually did my first mortgage for me in 2002, 2003.
Like a legit mortgage.
Yeah, like my original one when I was 20. He's the one that did my first mortgage for me. So, just getting to know him through the years, and I think in a time where everybody was defaulting on their debt and just walking away, I said, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's
good practice.
Yeah, that's just, I don't understand walking away from your debt, especially if it's to a human being. If it's to the Bank of America or to some giant institution, then there may be reasons to do that. Like I mentioned, not paying the electric bill in Vegas, right? Like, I really don't care. I mean, this is my last dollar. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
But when it's an actual person that put their trust in you and wrote this check to make something
where you're going to ruin a relationship.
Yeah, and well, to be honest, I didn't even know the guy because Patrick's the one who brokered that money and brought it in for me. So I'd never met him.
He would have never brokered another one of those for you, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. So I made that debt right, and so that's what helped coming back from Vegas with nothing. Was I had the relationship with Patrick where he had the faith in me that, hey, even though he went completely broke over here, he's going to do everything he can to make this right if there's a problem in the future. So when I come back and I have nothing, I was actually bankable from a private money standpoint, but not the actual bank. I couldn't even get a bank account, actually. Yeah, it was bad news, man.
Should have paid that electric bill.
Yeah. It was like $2,000. Yeah.
Wow.
So did you rent that house out then, or?
Yeah, so there was one tenant in one of the houses that had already been there for 8 or 9 years, and then the second one I just rented out.
Do they still live there?
The original people?
Yeah.
They've been there for like 20 years.
It's like you made a bunch of money on those houses now because they've gone up in value and whatnot, but they bled heavily to start because you're 100%
No, not
financed?
really. I mean, it was only, you think about it, $175,000, 12% interest, only $1,750 a month.
Not that much, yeah.
So it was probably a break even.
They were renting for $2,000 at that time?
Well, I'm saying
got
combined.
Oh, combined it was
Two houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't a bad deal.
As long as you didn't have any big expenses. They're paying their own utilities, their own garbage bill, their houses. So your expense is basically your mortgage, your insurance, some repairs, some taxes.
Yeah. So ultimately, I don't remember when, but a few years later, I was actually bankable, and I got a
perm loan.
Yeah, perm loan, Pioneer Trust. Yeah, they took care of me. So yeah, I think I owe like $100,000 still on those two houses, but
and
it's like my payment's like $1,000 a month. So yeah, it's pretty cheap.
And then you bought 2 more following that in the same neighborhood area, right across the street.
Yeah, in fact, the one that's directly north of Bentley's, I tried to buy. It took me 7 years. Yeah, it was a VA loan, and the guy owed more than it was worth, and he died. And so the family didn't want it. There was no value because it was underwater, essentially. And there were a lot of problems with that house. There was homeless people living in it. At one point, it started on fire. They started a fire in the bathroom. Fire department came. It was really just. It was horrible, and to have that right next to my business was not a good look. So, you try to get a hold of the note holder, you try to talk to realtors, talk to attorneys, talk to anybody and everybody, and we had sent offers. We even opened escrow and tried to have the escrow company get in touch, and it took about 7 years to actually get that deal done, and it got done about a week before it was going to go to auction. They finally responded and said, we're going to sell this house, give us an offer. And I think I gave them $130,000 cash to get that deal done, but it took a long time. There was like $25,000 in city liens against it from how many times the cops had been called to show up there.
You had to pay those off to own it?
Yeah.
Couldn't you just do? Is it eminent domain also when you just start living on someone's property and you do that for like 5 or 7 years?
That's not eminent domain.
What's it called again? Sorry. What's it called? It's called
homesteading.
No, it's
homesteading.
No. What's it called? And how long do you have to do that for?
It's called
when you bring your cows.
Yeah, you're just gonna go put up a fence and it's Yellowstone
right now, but it's
like 5 years you got to do it for, right? Yeah, you should have just started using their property and then claimed it.
Yeah, you don't want to live in there. It was bad.
What is that called? Wow, we got 3 realtors who
I was thinking about
are
something
struggling on our CE.
Yeah, apparently if you live somewhere for 7 years, you can say, this is my house
I'm eminent
now.
domaining this. This is mine.
That's not what
for
it's
the
called.
greater good of the city.
I'm gonna put a freeway here.
Okay, so you were buying deals around your business,
Yeah.
and then did you start buying deals outside of your business too? Because you own some other things too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a lot, but I bought the Mission Street property. I always try to have like a first right of refusal on any other property if I'm leasing it. And then I had bought one of the condos downtown Riverfront from Patrick, actually.
He owned that
Well, he bought like the remaining units.
in the second floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had all the way up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was only 2 people living in that building.
In the Rivers. Okay.
Yeah, in probably 2014-ish,
Okay.
2015. So I bought one of those from him, and
100% finance from him again?
yeah, it kind of worked out pretty good actually.
I thought you didn't like leverage.
Well, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, there's a difference. Once you have a choice, and once you actually have something, I don't want to go back to zero. So
That's fair.
you do what you have to do to get it done, and then I think that's one of the things that's always interesting to me. I see people that maybe they don't have the right credit, or they don't have the ability to go to the bank and get a deal done, and maybe there's an opportunity for private lending, and they laugh at a high rate. Yeah, it's like, well, dude, there's no way I'd pay that to get into that deal. Well, okay, then you're never going to get into a deal. You know, you have to take what's available to you in order to build up to a place where you can actually become bankable and actually get something done on your own. And that's why I never had a problem. If I didn't pay the 12% to buy the Bentley's property, I wouldn't own it.
Yeah.
If I didn't pay the 12% to buy those 2 houses, I wouldn't own them. And you know that's not going to last forever either, right? It's just gonna take time to get to a place where you can refinance and you can make it long-term debt.
The one thing Patrick did good for you was hook you up with an investor that was willing to give you a longer runway, because most of those private money loans come with, hard money and private money are a little different, but most of them come with a pretty short runway for payoff. You got to pay them off in 6 to 18 months, maybe 2 years tops. So to have something that's out there 3, 4, 5 years is kind of rare in the hard money space.
Yeah, and I think for him that's a testament to his relationships, right? Because the people that I got money from, I didn't know. I had no relationship with them. It was his faith in me that he conveyed to them.
Sure.
And because he had a track record of success and people actually paying back with those private money lenders, they took his word for what it was. So there wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't in the room for some of those conversations, but it really felt like it was kind of a no questions asked situation.
Well, you had somebody vouching for you, and for somebody that's brand new that goes into hard money, they're not going to get 100% financing.
Yeah.
Even on a deal that you rip, where you say, I'm buying this thing for $100,000, it's worth $200,000, they're still not going to give you.
They want to see some skin in the
game. They want
game.
some skin, and after you do a few deals and you prove you can pay off a loan, you can run a deal, then you can start talking about higher leverage. But in the very beginning, you're going to have some down payment, even with hard money lenders. You might be able to borrow that down payment somewhere.
Yeah.
I've
heard about that.
Now. We can be creative.
Yeah.
You don't have to go build a coffee empire to
Now
save
that's
the
a
cash to do
concept.
it.
It's called adverse possession.
Adverse possession.
Yeah, or squatters' rights, less formally.
Yeah, I think they're passing a law right now that says there will be within 24-hour notice, you give a squatter notice and they have to get out. Did they pass that?
They're coming back. It's a bill that's
I think
out
the House
right now.
passed it or something. So, adverse possession, Trevor. Don't ever forget that. So,
Eminent domain.
Because I will forget it.
When the homeless get homes for free.
All right. So keep going. Let's keep going down your real estate road. Where has it ultimately led? You're basically building an assemblage around your coffee business, and those are still business decisions. Tell us where it shifted and you started buying real estate to make money on real estate.
Well, I guess I made a little bit of money on the condo. That was good.
Like you bought it and sold it and made money?
Yeah, I mean I lived there for 2 years or less, just right in there, and sold it, made some money. And then the next house I bought, which was just for me, but I actually bought it as a foreclosure. So I bought it on the courthouse steps, and that was probably 2016.
How'd you learn how to do that?
You just do it.
When I was 6 years old.
You're like, I've got some money, and there's going to be an auction, and it's at the courthouse steps. And you're like, did you ask anybody like, hey, you ever done this? You gone to the courthouse and try to buy a deal?
Yeah, I did consult an attorney on that to get some good feedback. But, I think the only way you learn things is by doing them. Mm-hmm. And you can talk to anybody in the world. You can read every book, but action is the ultimate test for making something happen and actually learning how the process goes. There's no way that you can know everything until you actually go through it. So it's kind of a funny story, actually. So this house was in my brother's neighborhood, and he kind of knew the guy, and they had moved out because they hadn't paid a payment in 7 years or whatever the number was, right? Because this is 2016, and they stopped paying
during the crash.
Yeah. So they were finally ready to move out. They moved out, and it was just sitting there empty. And so I called them, hey, what's the deal with the house? Oh, well, we didn't pay our payment, and we owe like $880,000 on this house, and it's not worth that. I was like, well, I want to have the opportunity to buy it when it comes up from the bank. And so he said, yeah, like we could work something out. And I was like, well, I just sold my condo. Like, do you want to rent it to me? Like, I know he's not paying his payments, but maybe I could just live there for super cheap. So I gave him $1,500 a month for this, really, really nice house in a neighborhood. But yeah, so I'm paying him $1,500 a month.
He's
cash.
pocketing.
He's not paying. Yeah,
no, he's not
still
paying
not
anything.
Paying the mortgage.
He's killing it. And I get this great house for $1,500 a month, but the only caveat is I may get kicked out at any time. So it's almost like Vegas all over again. Like I'm just waiting for the notice to come on the door, right?
Yeah.
So notice comes. This house is going to go up for auction. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next? I'm going to have a bunch of people trying to look at this house and want to buy it, right? So I put the dark trash bags all over the windows so that nobody could see in, because
that's how you do your inspection.
Yeah, that's how you do your inspection, right? And over the years, with all the foreclosures that happened, the 8 years prior, everybody was stealing appliances. They were trashing the houses before they left. So if you couldn't see into the house,
you're scared.
You had to figure in your head.
Yeah, people were stripping their houses.
It's worst case.
They were taking light switches and
the wiring, right? Homeless would come in, they'd take the wiring. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. So like in my mind, I thought, well, my competition is going to look at this house and figure worst case scenario. It's going to be tear it down to the studs, right? Like that's the way that you have to look at it. If you
You're
can't
just
see
living
in.
like a king.
I'm just living in there, dude,
for $1,500 a month.
No, it was a gangster house, dude.
So
like it was
sick.
so nice. I mean,
did you ever light any like trash fires just to like scare people like, in the
No,
garage?
but I thought about putting like a car up on blocks out in the front yard. Maybe some some caution tape,
McDonald's wrappers,
crime scene, whatever. But talk about a dark time living in a house with trash bags on the windows, dude. It was not very motivating.
Literally dark.
Yeah, it was dark.
Not a lot of sunlight.
So I found out when the house was going to be auctioned, and I show up, courthouse steps, and the minimum bid was $450,000. That's like the bank's bid, right? Like I don't know why they do it that way, but the bank actually places the first bid at $450,000. And fortunately, I did a little bit of research and understood that I only had to bid $1 more. So I bid $450,000 and $1, and there were a few other guys like thinking about it. Nobody bid on it.
Because you got to pay cash. I mean, on the spot or like within 30 days or something?
No, on the spot. Yeah, so I had cashier's checks broken up into
$1
multiple denominations, like 100K, 200, right, 25K,
so
5K, because you might not get that money back. Like if you just gave them a cashier's check for $1 million, you may not get the rest of it back for 3 months. Like I didn't know when you get it back, so you want to have multiple checks. So I had multiple checks, and then
and then a cashier's check for $1.
And a cashier's check for $1. Or no, a cash.
Just a
A
dollar.
wrinkled up $1 bill.
Oh, they took cash.
They took cash, yeah. So, yeah. So, and I borrowed that too. I borrowed that money.
What year
The
was
dollar or the $450?
The dollar. The dollar.
I had $450.
I had to ask one of the other guys that was bidding on houses, hey, do you have $1 I could borrow?
I overbid myself.
Yeah, so it was a cool house, and
Dang.
I got a good deal on it. I didn't really do much to it. I lived there for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, probably 3 years. No, more than that. Dude, I sold it in 2020, right before shit shot up
Good
to the
timing,
moon.
Good timing. Yeah.
So I sold it for $830,000, I think.
That's a good buy.
Yeah, it was a good deal. And then I didn't own a house for the 3 years that real estate shot up.
How much is that house worth now?
Probably $1.2 million. But
Still made $400K.
no, I did absolutely great on it. And then
Yeah.
I rented for the 3 years of the straight up real estate. Yeah, that was a pretty good deal.
That's one way to do it.
Well, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rent for a little bit. I want to find like the perfect place, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think things were going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So
No,
that
makes
was
sense.
kind of unfortunate to miss all of that
Miss the run-up.
upswing. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Redmond.
Yeah.
Okay. You did a sick deal
Oh,
for the
thank
Bentleys in Redmond. No, it's a good deal. I'm so stoked on it. Okay. So break down like how you found it in the first place, what you had to go through to actually get the deal done, and then now where it's at.
Yeah.
How'd you see it?
And I'll give you a little bit of, since you already have some information on this, there's a piece of it that's probably not going to work out,
Okay.
but I've got a backup plan for that.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm deciding like, hey, it's time to really grow Bentleys, and I want to go into Eastern Oregon, and I'm over there looking at sites. You're just kind of driving around, knocking on doors, what's available, what's not, and there's a vacant lot on a corner that's phenomenal corner, 6th and Maple, right across from Walmart. Incredible visibility, stoplight, easy access in and out. It's like 0.8 acres. There's a sign on it, available for lease, build to suit. So call the realtors, hey, what's the story on this? They sent me over some information. They sent me a site plan, and their site plan was like a 6,000 square foot building with an end cap drive-through. And I really don't want to have an end cap drive-through. I don't want to have a walk-in store in the drive-through, and then I also don't want to be just part of a bigger building. I really want to have that freestanding building out on the corner. So I said, hey, I don't think that I'm really interested in that concept, but would you guys be open to doing a land lease for like a portion of the land, and I'll build my own building and do all that, and then if you guys want to build a 3,000 square foot building on the other part of it, go ahead. Would you guys be open to that? And they just told me no. No, the property owner, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to do 6,000 square foot building, build to suit. We've talked to 5 guys. They're interested in leasing. We've got, all these things working on it. It's going to totally make sense. But, maybe we'll ask him, see what happens. So I don't get a call back. I don't hear anything from him. Call him back a month later. Hey, I want to check in, see where you guys are at. Like, did 5 guys follow through on their lease? Like what's going on with this project? Like, I'm still very, very interested. Well, he's just not interested in doing a drive-through out on the corner. He doesn't want to do that. Okay. Well, can we talk to him? Like, can we just have a conversation with the property owner to see what possibilities might happen here? Like, there's a lot of different ways that this can go. And it was basically just a no. I don't think he's interested, doesn't want to be part of that. Okay. So I wait another month, goes by. Call him again. Where are we at? Like, what's happening on this project? Like, it's just sitting there. I haven't heard anything. They're like, no, he's just not interested. So, good luck. Okay, cool. I go onto my little app on my phone, and I find out who the property owner is in about 5 minutes, and I just Google his name and see if I can find his phone number. And I call him, and I say, hey, I'd like to lease your property and see if we can work something out for Bentleys, and I'm over here in Salem, and I know you never heard of this, but I'd like to see if we can sit down and talk. And he's like, well, yeah, we could probably do that. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, well, come by my office. Drive over to Redmond the next day, and super nice guy. He ends up just kind of driving me around town. He's like, let's go for a drive. I'm like, okay. So we drive by the site. We look at it. He owns like 49 properties around Redmond. He's kind of pointing out, oh, I own that one. And, I'm not sure what I'm going to do over there. And I'm just kind of getting to know him. And he's like, I don't want to do a build-to-suit. What? I don't want to. He's like, I hate building properties. I don't want to deal with the city and contractors. And I don't want to do any of that. I just want my check. That's all I want. I don't care about any other. I don't care what you do with it, unless it's a gas station. I don't want a gas station. I said, okay, I'm not doing gas. He said, yeah, I just want to check every month. I do not want to develop that property. And I said, okay, well, how much do you want for a land lease, like just for the whole property? Just, you don't touch it. I'll do all the work. I'll do everything. He gets out his calculator. He's making some adjustments, and he says $5,500 a month. And I said, okay. Let me think about that for a minute. I've already been hanging out with him for like 2 hours at this point, so I'm like, I'm going to drive home. I drive home. I think about it, look at the site a little bit more. I'm like, I'm going to just make this happen. So I drive over to Redmond the next morning with a check for $5,500. And I just said, here you go. And he's like, well, what's this for? I'm like, well,
you said you wanted a check.
Yeah, you want to collect checks? I have one for you.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we don't have a lease yet. I'm like, I don't care. We'll figure it out. Like, we hung out for 2 hours. I know you pretty well.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So I give him a check. I'm like, here's your first month's check. He's blown away. He's like, this is awesome.
This is sick. I love this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So we just made a handshake deal, and then over the course of the next month or two, we kind of got the lease details ironed out, and we're rocking and rolling.
And his brokers got paid for letting.
Yeah, how did his brokers
put that deal together?
You want the details on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he had a contract with his realtors, obviously, right? So they essentially, in kind of talking with him about the negotiations, and he was saying, well, I've got to pay the realtors for this deal because I have a contract, and I don't want to go back on that, even though they did a horrible job and completely screwed this whole thing up. He's like, I feel obligated. I got to make sure that I take care of them. And so I said, okay, well, then how about I just make, even though my lease is for like 30 years, we're going to make the first term really short. So instead of them getting like a $75,000 check, they got a check for $12,000.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it was,
I don't even know if what they did was worth.
It wasn't worth anything. They should have paid me $12,000.
Yeah. Yeah. For getting
and
the
they
deal
need to get
done.
their sign off the property today.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they did a horrible job. But I think
Today.
I wouldn't have that property if I didn't run through the brick wall, if you will. So
Yeah.
there's times where that mindset really, really, really helps, and there's times where it can kind of screw you. But I had to make that happen.
That's so sweet. So you get the lease in place for 2 years and then another 38 years. And then you start building immediately. That's out of pocket, right? So you're working with the city and then you're coming out of pocket to put the improvements on there.
Yeah.
And you have a plan for the rest of the land, right?
Yeah. So I'm paying the lease up front, right? Like sometimes with the lease, you end up with the lease commencement and the rent commencement start at different times, and a lot of times the rent commencement will be at like a certificate of occupancy. I really wanted this property, and it was important for me to show the property owner's strength because I wasn't really feeling like I was in a position of strength considering what I've been told from the realtors and everything else. And I had to make a really strong impression on him. So rent commencement started, so I'm paying the $5,500 a month every month. I'm paying for architects, traffic studies, soil studies, right? All the things that come along with that. We're in permitting process right now, but the rest of the property. So there's one food truck on the property right now. Actually, it's kind of just sitting there, but they pay $1,500 a month back, which is kind of nice. So I'm actually only out $4,000, but the rest of the property I'm going to be able to lease out, and it'll essentially cover the entire $5,500. And so I'm going to have the property for free, but I'm going to pay for the development of the property. We're going to bring in the sewer and the water and do all the paving and all the infrastructure. So it's probably going to be all in probably close to $1 million.
100% financed at 12%.
No, 0%,
Not anymore.
0%
Not anymore.
financed.
So on that one, did you put a first right of refusal in the lease? Like, do you get to buy it? What's the deal there?
I tried to.
Yeah.
He wasn't interested in it, and he's got kids, and it's kind of the long-term succession plan of his properties, and I look at it, and as long as I have a long runway for my business to be there, I'm going to be fine no matter what.
Yeah.
And if at some point in time they want to sell it and I've maintained a really good relationship and they know that I want to buy it, then I'm going to be the first person they call.
Do you have first right?
No. He didn't want it in there.
Yeah. You're just first in line.
I'm first in line with the relationship, and I think ultimately that's where
that's where the deal gets done.
It's most valuable to you also. Like, you will pay top dollar for that property.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if he has to hire a realtor to sell it, one, I don't know how that's going to go, but he's got to pay fees on that. So really, it would be in their best interest to sell it directly to me.
Yeah. And then how does the value of the improvements that you've put onto it get like paid back to you? Is that you're just out
through
that
the business?
cash?
Through Bentley's paying it back.
Yeah. So you don't own any of the improvements though?
Technically, no.
Yeah.
I mean, my building is going to be a modular building, but it won't look like it.
Yeah.
Right? It'll be set in the ground, and it'll be, just because it's getting built off site, it's going to look like it's completely built from the ground up. Yeah. So technically, could I take my building? Yeah, I suppose. But I'm going to be there for 40 years. So at that point, the building would either get rebuilt or something like that. But
yeah, that makes sense.
It worked out good though.
That's so
what
sick.
made you decide to go modular?
I have a good relationship with Blazer Industries out in Elmsville, and I think there's some interesting pieces about modular, which is they can build the building while the site work is being done. So I think it's faster, and they're also building inside of a building, right? Like I think they can build more efficiently, and they don't have to bring in a separate plumber, a separate electrician, separate person to do the siding, right? Like every aspect of that build they do in-house, and they have their own engineers. They've got everything right there. So I think it'll be a pretty smooth process.
Well, yeah, and every month that you don't have a Bentley's sitting on that lot, you're not making the money from the Bentley's sitting on the lot.
Exactly.
So
it's just costing.
Even if it costs a little more, it's worth it to you to get it done quicker.
Yeah, and ultimately,
It'll
having
cost,
somebody like that can build that building will be good for us as we grow. If we open another one in Redmond or Bend or Boise or South Salem, something comes up, like being able to call them and say, you've already built one for me. You have my plans. Maybe we'll probably make a couple tweaks to it, because I'm sure we'll screw some stuff up in the process, but they've got everything sitting there, and I can just say, build me another one. So that's a really helpful way for the future as we grow.
Yeah.
So in the last episode, you talked about buying an existing stand. You had customers coming in, and it was way harder when you opened a new one. Are you worried about customers because now you're in a new market, new area? They're already going to other coffee shops.
Not specifically. When we opened, first of all, I didn't have any money in Salem, so there was no ability to really advertise or market. And we were a completely unknown brand that had nothing figured out, right? So as we've built our systems and processes and menus and our community give back, which we've done a ton of, I think we're going to be able to go into Redmond and actually, I think it has the potential to be our busiest store.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of location?
Because of location, and also because of, I think, the weather. 82% of the drinks that we sell are cold. And, they've got more sunshine. Even though it might be a little bit colder over there, I think when you're on a wet, dry, or a wet, gray day, it doesn't really lend itself to getting a cold drink. So
a little smoothie.
A little sunshine in the air will be nice over there. I think it'll be really good for business. It's a great site. And, everything that we do for the animals, I think that's going to go over really well in Redmond, too. I think people are really going to appreciate that. So we'll be giving back to the local animal shelters over in Redmond when we open over there.
Yeah.
The Bentley's legacy.
Yep.
That's sick. Yeah, my dad always said that Bend crashes first because they're just trading coffee for dog biscuits for pastries. It's just groups of people selling each other coffee and biscuits and pastries.
Yeah, the economics over there are pretty tight.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, there's not a lot of heavy industrial going on over there.
So you're trying to buy more real estate deals now. Like, what do you want to buy?
What do I want to buy?
Yeah, like you're looking at
what's
portfolio.
next?
I want to buy that 70 units.
Okay, why do you want that 70 units?
I think that I think that I really want to work with you guys. Like, getting to know you guys over the last several months, going to the real estate meetups, everything that I've seen from you guys personally is a lot of the values that I hold, right? Like if I don't remember if I told Dane this, but I was like, man, if I went to the real estate meetup and you guys were like, okay, $199 to sign up for our package, I would have been like, dude, this is lame, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be sold anything. I want to be a part of something. And you guys are just constantly building up everybody around you and love to share your knowledge and then also get knowledge from everybody else. And I feel like you're just building a community of builders. And I want to be part of that community. And so looking at the 70 units, I think could potentially give us an opportunity to work together, right? Where everything that I've done has been kind of small scale, single family, whatever it might be. But I don't know that the four of us should partner in a single family home. Like,
a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
I don't know.
It's a small kitchen.
Yeah, there's not a lot of value there. I feel like
maybe if it's like a $10 million crib on Maui, we could partner on that. That might be. No, we wouldn't make any money.
Which
but it'd
part
be
would I
fun.
be on? Would I be doing the landscaping?
We'd give you the part where you have to make the payment on it, and we'd do the landscaping.
I thought
for
Dane
you.
was signing on that debt.
Yeah,
That's my first deal. Is the $10 million Maui house.
That will be the first one Dane has to personally get into.
We want you to experience failure. That's what we're looking for here.
Yeah, true failure is zero. Going to zero.
That could
Less
get me,
than zero.
That could get me there quick.
Well, we want to make it. We want to make it impactful.
Quick in, quick out.
Yeah.
True failure is giving up.
Ooh.
Oh.
Brandon just said you just have to have it. Has to like beat in your heart that to endure and to just have that determination to do it no matter what.
Over my dead body.
Yeah. We just did it. We just did a deal.
We did an over our dead body deal.
We were paying about $50,000 a month in hard earnest money released every month to hold the deal together, and we got to the point and we were like, should we still do this deal?
We had to sit down and literally,
And I had to say, boys, gather around. We are doing this deal no matter what. And Mark says, all right, over my dead body, we're doing this deal no matter what. We did the deal. So
can you guys add the Rocky theme song to the
Yeah.
outro of this podcast?
You're gonna have to tell Trevor who Rocky is because he's never had a TV before, so he doesn't know these stories.
I know who Rocky is because David Goggins, he said he listened to the Rocky theme song for like 24 hours straight while doing a run.
Oh,
so I was like, that sounds like a good idea.
Why didn't
Let
you
me download this?
Why didn't you do that?
I turned it on for a while. Yeah,
for a while.
It got really annoying though after a bit.
Dun, 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 dun.
So
maybe on your next 100-mile run, you should listen to it the whole entire time.
Maybe. Well, so on that 70 unit, it was interesting because you started thinking about deals more, and you were texting us like ideas you had.
Yeah.
I kind of thought you were joking. I was like, oh, that's sick. And then Dane started telling me, he's like, oh, we could do it this way. I was like, oh, that is a great idea.
Yeah, that actually would work.
Yeah.
No, at first I was like, it doesn't make sense. And then you're like, no, I think we could. And so then both of us dove into it at like 8 o'clock because you were texting us again. And we were like, oh, wow. Wait, this would actually be sick.
It's possible, man.
Yeah.
So you're teaching us about deals. Thanks.
I can't wait to hear about this deal.
Oh, you actually just signed on it.
Yeah, you wrote an offer on it last.
Oh, good. That's how it usually works.
Yeah.
No, I'll go to the point of the community and like builders and whatnot. We talked about when we met for dinner like a week and a half ago, how every time we sit down together, when I leave, I'm so full of energy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what you were saying too, is like, dude, I just want to sit in like rooms with people where when I exit, I don't feel like drained.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to go do. Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited to do more. And you said that, and I was like, that's how we feel. I didn't know you were feeling the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
I mean,
Romance.
that's
Yeah. We live together, dude. What do you mean?
you got to have that energy. And, I think throughout life as you get older and you have friends in life, you have a lot of different relationships that you develop, and you start to understand which ones are the right ones. And I was just drawn to you guys instantly. I think everything you're doing is rad, and I want to see you fail a little bit. I do think that'd be good for you, but I want to be part of it. Just don't drag me down with you. I think we can make it happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I do too.
I think you should start a plumbing company, Dane.
Oh, jeez. It's going fine.
It's going
See,
fine.
Yeah.
every new person, they think, to have the highest success rate, let me start the most businesses possible, and one of them will work out.
Yeah.
And that's what he was thinking.
We're entrepreneurs. We all have shiny object. I like what Brandon was talking about. Simplify your business, your process, simplify your life.
Yeah.
That's
why I wear a black T-shirt every day. I don't have to decide
have to
what
think
to wear.
about it.
I wear the same
Yeah.
thing every day.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe this has a little something on it, but sometimes they're plain.
You got fancy for us.
Yeah, I did. I
you
wanted to
dressed
look
up
good
today.
for the podcast.
He charged his Apple Watch for us. Normally, it's just dead.
Oh, that's true. Yes, I have no
It's
idea.
not
how this
connected
thing
to my
works.
phone though, so I don't know how it's gonna.
I think that's part of the poker thing, though. When everyone's sitting around the table and comparing watches, and he's just like, "I got a broken eye.
I got a dead Apple Watch.
I got a dead Apple Watch. I don't even think this thing works."
I think it's an Apple Watch 1.
And about 2 hours in, he's got all the chips lined up next to him. Maybe it has a
Alright.
camera on it. It shows you all of our hands while we're going around.
the truth
That's
comes
the
out.
secret.
You've got some.
It's not connected to my phone.
Yeah,
it's
that's
connected
why
to the
You got
table.
some
brought my own
cameras in the
cards.
room. All right, guys, are we going to wrap this one up?
Yeah.
All right, Brandon Eastman, thanks so much for joining us on Deal Junkies. We love your story. We love the Bentley story and everything you're doing in real estate. We can't wait to do a deal with you.
Cool.
We'll do a follow-up when we put the 70 unit under contract.
I love it. Let's
We'll,
make it happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Dun-dun-dun.
they say you said something
Cue it,
important.
cue it.
You said action. If you're going to do anything, you got to take action. But I will say this is if you want to do deals, talk about doing deals, but don't just talk about doing deals. But you will do more deals if you talk about deals. And we talk about deals all the time, and we do deals. So let's go do a deal.
Rock and roll.
All right, Deal Junkies, take action. Go do deals. We love you. Please subscribe, like this podcast, tell your friends about us, and we'll see you next time.